Hi everyone, welcome to the topic self-reflection. This topic is all about exactly that, how you guys can develop a really strong self-reflection profile and purpose and structure, and we're going to let you in on a little bit of a self-reflective piece that we did here at Leaders of Evolution not too long ago. And to do that, I've brought in my trusted business partner, John Shepherd. John, welcome.
Hi guys, welcome to be here. Thanks for having me, Damian.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for giving me a bit of a chop out on the camera, mate. I'm very, very happy about that, and it's great to have you in. Now, before we start, John, you come from a background where self-reflection, self-assessment is critical all the time, and that being the semi-professional basketball world, from college athlete all the way through to NBL Siebel in Australia and New Zealand. Maybe just quickly touch on some of those self-reflective practices that you had to go through in your basketball career.
Yeah, there's two key areas. It was your own individual self-reflection, so be it game, training, weights, your individual workouts, but it's also as a team. Often you'd come together and watch game tape, game film, and really critique both your opposition but also yourself as well. And we had a little saying, particularly in college, the game film doesn't lie, because you're quite exposed when you're sitting there in the locker room and you've got 15 guys all watching the one play, and self-reviewing and giving you peer-to-peer feedback and coach feedback right there instantaneously.
Yep, and that was probably, I guess, one of the drivers for what we're going to talk about today and why we did what we did. Now, essentially, I'll let you explain, actually, John. Your idea for us was to look at how we present and how we communicate, especially verbally. So what was it that we actually did to go through this self-reflection process?
Well, we were presented with an opportunity to go and talk to a client and essentially deliver a sales pitch to a large company here in Melbourne in the CBD. So we ventured into level 28, had beautiful views of South Bank, really great surreal setting. But at the end of the day, we were there for a purpose and to win a client, and part of that was to record ourselves presenting, not just to live our mantra, being ongoing development always, and indicate that to our client, but just as importantly, if not more importantly, for us to really start to self-review, self-critique ourselves in that high-pressure situation where it matters. That was essentially game day for us. Yep,
absolutely. So what we essentially did was drop the iPhone on the table, hit record with the permission, obviously, of the guys that we were talking to, and grab that audio piece and listen back to it later on. We'll get to that. Why did we do that? What was the purpose?
Well, as I started to mention, it was an opportunity to self-review, to really get an idea of how do we sound in those high-pressure situations. What are we doing well? What areas can we improve? Is our elocution there? Can we use the power of the pause? Are we bouncing off each other the right way? Our overarching strategy and concept, are they being delivered in a way that we're thinking? Because when people are on the other side of the table, sometimes you assume that they know, but not always that's the case.
Yep, absolutely. Learning outcomes to come out of that particular, I guess it was a 45-minute discussion. We sat down at LOE HQ on a Friday afternoon and probably a bit nervously hit play to listen back to it, but it was a powerful learning experience. What were some of the learning outcomes that we took out of it?
Yeah, it was certainly powerful and a little bit awkward, and when you hear the sound of your own voice, it sends shivers up and down your spine. It was a really powerful exercise, and I think for us personally, from the business point of view, we got a lot out of it, but personally as well, I think there was we had an arm count, and over a period of, it was 8 or 9 minutes that we said arm 20 times, and that sounds like a lot, and I suggest as a little bit of an exercise for you guys is to listen to the radio, tune into SEN, and you can start to get an understanding of how difficult this is when you get high-level CEOs talking footy, for example, on SEN, and the number of arms and R's they might say, and you're hearing a few here today because this is an ongoing ongoing development area of both myself and Damian. But yeah, there's some really pertinent examples out there that you can learn from.
Yeah, I think it's a great example, and we see great communicators the world over, stare down the barrel and speak clearly and eloquently, and they don't have those things. And I think sometimes when you listen to your own communication, or we watch ourselves back on camera, you expect that you're at that level, and clearly we're not. And in this live sort of environment, it's really challenging to do. So I think one of the learning outcomes for us as well is to not be too hard on ourselves. It really is about the communication message we put across, and if we were to stand into the shoes of the person that we're speaking to, would they be picking up what we're putting down, I suppose. And that was a really key thing for us. So we'll continue to work on those ums and ahs and the power of the pause, but it's also important for us, I think, to not be too hard on ourselves, because we see the bar set very, very high in the media.
That's right.
How have we implemented some of the learning outcomes?
I think on a regular basis, where, as you just mentioned, we're doing these pieces to camera, we often review and critique each other that way. Personally, I've set a couple of little challenges in my own presentation since this particular example we're reflecting on, in that I try and use the power of pause 3 times in any external meeting. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but that's something that I'm working on with you. And quite simply is just informally ask you how I'm going. Is there any areas that I'm doing well? Is there any areas I can improve on?
Yeah, and that comes back to, I guess, our process from the day that we sat down and listened to what we listened to. A lot of that was direct peer-to-peer feedback, and with really strong evidence as well, not just a thought or an emotional bit of feedback. We had the evidence there, we listened to it, and it was really powerful, I think, to have that and to continue that, as you said, we're doing at the moment. Last one for the guys, and probably the most important thing, and we're all about transferring our learning, and I think this is a great opportunity for the guys that are doing the Next Generation Leaders program to start to transfer and have opportunities to learn from what we're giving them. And how would you encourage others, it may not be exactly the same thing, but how would you encourage others to look at their self-reflective practice?
Think outside the square. That was very much, we should try and do this and put ourselves in position a little bit outside our comfort zone, but also thinking out the square and being resourceful. We both have iPhones. Most people have a smartphone with some type of voice memo recording. Put the pride aside, step outside your comfort zone, and use the resources available as some of the key areas that you can implement. But also find yourself, whether it's a mentor or a peer-to-peer support. I think that's really, really important, particularly if you're used to working in teams, and that's where you bring out the best in yourself. Yeah,
brilliant. And the guys have already started to actually look at some of that peer coaching within the course, and also looking in engaging with a mentor as well. So I think that's great advice. I think the key thing for me that I've taken out of what we've spoken about today, and it fits in really nicely with self-reflection and self-assessment, is the self-reflective process allowed us to become more self-aware of how we communicate. And that's what the big thing for me in this topic, all about self-awareness. The practice and the self-reflective practice allows you to become self-aware, strengths, weaknesses, and how you use those.
And furthermore, I think it allows you to be a better peer-to-peer mentor to somebody else. So it's everybody's growing together.
Yep, great. Well, John, thank you for joining me today, and thanks for communicating so well to the guys in the course. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.